Morning all. It's day 37. Um, Overslept a little bit again last night, but only by about an hour. So I took my meds straight away. It's been probably about an hour and a half, an hour and three quarters since I took my medication now. So it's had long enough to get in my system basically for today. And I'm actually all right. I mean, it's a bit of a it's a bit of a reflective day for me today, as I've mentioned, because it's the anniversary of my grandfather's passing. It's been 22 years. I can't believe it's been that long, you know. And as I mentioned in my blog posts last night, he was a character. He was such a lovely man to me and my sisters. Anyway, he was a lovely man. I know he was quite a complicated man as well, because I know he was quite strict with his own children, but with us he was just really easygoing and really kind. And I don't think it's fair to judge someone purely on how others see them. I think sometimes you've got to find out for yourself. And that's one thing about my own personality. I like to make up my own mind about people that I meet. So if people if people tell me that a person is like this or like that, I will tend not to trust them. I like to be my own judge of that person. I always have been that way and I always will be that way. So I'm spending the day in quiet contemplation, really. I think weather seems to have clouded over a bit now. It was quite sunny before, but it looks like it's clouding over. But yeah, I mean, I've just had breakfast, so my usual toast and coffee. That's what I normally have. So just had that. I'm back in my room and I'm just chilling out now, just for a bit. But yeah, everything's so far is quite good. The cats are sleeping. No trouble today at all. So yeah, I'm feeling good right now. But I'm just going to kind of use today to sort of remember the good things about my grandfather, because I'm not going to mope and I'm not going to dwell on the fact that he died so suddenly, because that was the thing that was hardest to accept, that it was so sudden. He wasn't ill particularly. I mean, I know his heart had been bothering him for a while, but he wasn't really ill as such. When he died, he was just out for a walk in the fields in one morning, and he just collapsed. And I think he died right there in those fields, on the Indian border. So that's quite hard to accept, that he's just gone. And that's why I mentioned the stuff about my dad as well. Because my granddad was 73 when he died. My dad's not much younger, actually. He's more or less the same age now. My dad turned 72 last month. And he's been, and obviously my dad's been ill as well with cancer and stuff. I mean, he's stable now. He's been stable for a good while, but there's always that doubt in your mind about the progress, where you kind of think, is it going to come back? Excuse me. Is it going to come back? Is it going to be, aggressive? And is it going to take him? You know, because I mean, regardless of the differences that I've had with my father over the years, I do actually love him very, very much, and I know that deep down inside of him, he's a very, very decent man. I know that. I've always known that. You know, and I love him. You know, I always have loved him. But it's kind of dawning on me now that there might have reached a point where we might not have many years left together. There might only be another, say, 3 or 4 years left. You know, and that's quite a sobering thought. That's a very sobering thought, in fact. You know. But it doesn't really consume me. It's just something I think about every now and again. I mean, I remember when I first found out he had cancer at the end of 2011. I remember when he was diagnosed. It was like the week before Christmas, you know, it couldn't have come at the worst time. And he and I weren't speaking for a long time. We hadn't spoken in like 4 years. You know, fell out over something stupid and didn't know how to get back, you know. And I remember going to see him 2 days before he had his surgery. And I remember it took about 4 hours before either of us reached a point where we could have a civilized conversation, because a lot of stuff from the past came rushing up to the surface, and you know, I'd made mistakes and he'd made mistakes, and you know, and I just thought at the end, you know, it was pretty good because we were actually laughing and joking away at one point. He didn't look well, you know, he was very, very thin when I went to see him before his surgery, because a few months had gone by from the diagnosis to his first round of treatment, and it was quite difficult to deal with. But you know, I guess I just reached an understanding where I thought, well, we're never going to agree completely on everything. You know, it's impossible. Not just with a parent figure, but with anybody in your life. You're never ever going to agree 100% of the time with absolutely everybody, are you? Of course not. Even those that you're really, really close to, there are going to be times that you don't agree, and there are going to be times that you fall out, and there are going to be times you don't speak to each other for a while. Doesn't mean you don't love them, doesn't mean that they're not still your family or still your friends. Of course they are. It's just emotion takes over sometimes, and you know, people's pride gets hurt and things like that. You know, it's just what human beings are like. You know, it's just human nature. But it's only when you lose somebody that you love that you realise how much they actually meant to you in the first place. That's when you get the real measure of them. And I know I've waffled on for over 9 minutes, but you know what? I kind of needed to. So sue me. Okay. But yeah, don't worry about me. As I say, I know it's a difficult day for me today, but don't worry, because I'm not upset. I'm actually quite proud. I'm proud of the fact that I knew him, that he was in my life for as long as he was. You know, he'd been in my life for, you know, about 10 years. You know, I got to know him properly, so that was good. I wish I'd had a little bit more time, but you know, it wasn't to be. So I'll leave you with that thought. And basically what I'm trying to say is, if you are struggling at the moment with a relationship that you have with somebody because you've fallen out with them or whatever, do yourselves a favour and make it up to them. Make amends, because you never know when you could lose them or when they could lose you. You probably need each other more than you realise, so make it up. Okay then. Take care. Bye.